And Ian Castleberry joining the Wise Guys for our NFL discussion today, presented always by David Creasman and the staff at DC Creasman Jewelers. Ian Castleberry, how you doing, buddy?
Doing great.
Man, we've got lots to get to. We do have some 0-2 teams that we did not expect to be 0-2, Ian. We're talking the Texans, the Vikings, the Eagles. Of those teams, Ian, which one do you think is going to break out of this?
I think, I'm looking at the Falcons. I think they have the Bears coming up this week. At the Packers is a tough matchup, but then they host the Panthers, and then they're at the Vikings. Of the teams that are currently 0-2, but I'm looking at the Vikings and wondering if they're the ones that are really going to be in trouble of the 0-2 teams. They have the Titans this week, at the Texans, at the Seahawks, and then they host the Falcons. So a couple of teams that were expected to be in the playoff hunt at 0-2. I think the Vikings and the Texans could be in the most trouble here.
Mike, which teams concern you?
I'd say the Vikings to me. I mean, Kirk Cousins, he's my backup quarterback for fantasy football.
Oops.
He had -2. Thankfully, I've got Kyler Murray out there,
Bravo.
so he's doing just well. But he had -2 points. I mean, -2 points. You know,
I'm assuming you lost this week?
No. He was my backup. He didn't play.
Oh,
He didn't play. I didn't have him play and stuff. But he had -2. So I guess he missed a Stephon Diggs. Can you dig it?
We'll be getting to Diggs here in just a moment. And yes, we can dig it, Michael Gore. I'll tell you the team I think that can break out of this is the Eagles, just because, A, the division they're in. Look, they're expected to beat Washington. They didn't, obviously. But the Giants are a mess. I think the Eagles can turn this around. We've seen this before. It seems to come down to the Eagles and Dallas the final couple of weeks of the regular season, and one of those two teams manages to figure it out. So I'm gonna go with the Eagles. I like the Texans to pull out of this, but man, that AFC South is tightening up, and that may not be as easy as it once was over the last couple of seasons for those squads. All right, now, Ian, we'll move on. You know, while Panthers fans are fretting the loss of Christian McCaffrey, the Giants lose Saquon Barkley, who is the soul of its offense, while the Niners lose defensive lineman Nick Bosa, the soul of its defense. So both those guys are gone for the year. The common denominator here, guys, is both season-ending injuries occurred on the same field in the same game at MetLife Stadium. And Ian, what are players saying about the turf at the Met? And I understand the NFL has weighed in on this.
Yeah, the NFL looked at the turf at MetLife Stadium and said it was good. It was okay. It was fine to play on, but otherwise, it was just a terrible coincidence for the 49ers, losing Nick Bosa and Solomon Thomas for the season. Jimmy Garoppolo gets hurt, Tevin Coleman, Raheem Mostert. The Giants, as you mentioned, lost Saquon Barkley in their game. But the 49ers players complained that the turf was, quote, sticky, and meaning, you know, there's some thought maybe they didn't have the correct cleats for that turf. The 49ers have been hurt, but 3 other teams have played on that turf and haven't had the same amount of injuries. But remember, there was no preseason. That turf might not have been broken in the way that it would normally have been. It was installed over the spring, so that is new turf at MetLife Stadium, but maybe hasn't been broken in the way that it needed to be. But in the meantime, you have 49ers players, Eric Armstead, for instance, calling it, quote, trash turf. So I'm sure the 49ers are not thrilled about playing on that turf this week again against the Giants.
Wow. Boy, that's a tough one, Mike. I'm glad the NFL took a look at it. Boy, but, you know, to have those players, and this is not the first time in the first game that players have complained about the turf at MetLife Stadium. So the NFL is saying it all looks good. I wonder what happens if the 49ers who go back to play the Jets this Sunday at MetLife. That's just a scheduling oddity. They got to deal with this again.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that's happened. You know, the Bills last year opened the season against the Jets in MetLife, and then had to play the Giants the next week in MetLife. So I don't know. So it'd be interesting if the 49ers just stayed in the New York City area.
I don't think they could, right, Ian? I don't think they
right.
can.
They stayed. No, you're right. They couldn't. They are staying in West Virginia. I can't remember the name of the complex, but
at least they're on the coast.
But yeah, they stayed on the East Coast between these two games.
West Virginia. That's an interesting spot.
Well, that'll be interesting for people from San Francisco and West Virginia. And then no offense to that state. I'm not trying to put that state down,
man.
but that's about as far away you can get from
San Francisco.
in a lot of different ways there and stuff. But we'll just stop that before we get in trouble there. But if the NFL says it's okay, I mean, I think Ian just made a great point about there was no preseason. Your body needs to take some hits and stuff and everything. And I think this is why we're seeing some of these injuries is because we had no preseason.
We talked about this Monday with Shoop and because obviously that's the first thing that comes up. But, I was thinking about it too. And I'm like, well, this is hardly the first time that early in the season we've had like some star players go down. And I think Shoop brought up an interesting point to think about. He says, remember, the starters really don't play very much in the preseason, like hardly at all. Maybe the third game they'll play maybe a half. Now maybe that's enough to make it right. It's really hard telling at this point, why this is happening. If the Giants had a cleat issue, then good Lordy, and they've got to get that figured out, pretty quickly. And of course, hopefully they will. But man, it's certainly, and it does raise the question. And maybe it's not as much the preseason, but like the off-season workouts. I mean, everything has been just completely wiped out, and even training camp has just not been the same. And, that could be a possibility. It's 2020. Disasters are happening all around us. And, we'll see where this one plays out as Ian Castleberry joins the Wise Guys presented by D.C. Creasman Jewelers at 269 Tunnel Road, your one-stop jewelry shop. All right, here we go. A Mike Gore, Bills takeover question. And, Michael, you sent me the Bills. Did you not? Did you email that to me?
Bill's fight song, yes. Remember we did that last week?
Okay, yeah, started. I've got to go. I've got to find it. So you guys chat amongst yourselves. No, I'll swing a Bills. Oh, here we go. That's right, because I said I could. It plays for like a minute, but I'm like I can't play it for like.
I've got a 3-minute version too. If you want to get the 3-minute version.
I love the 3-minute version. I'm not sure what the people would think about this. Here we go.
Throw your head back and shout. Come on now, the Bills are making it happen now.
There you go. All right, Ian, our Mike Gore Bills takeover question. To what extent is the addition of Stephon Diggs done for Josh Allen in his first 2 games? Like, this quarterback is just elevated.
This is Air Buffalo. I'm curious what Mike thinks about this, but Josh Allen, he's thrown for 750 yards in the Bills' first 2 games. Airing it out, 415 yards last week against the Dolphins. So not only does he have that deep threat in Stephon Diggs, but he's opened it up for the rest of the offense. I think John Brown, and we talked about this a little last week, has been the main beneficiary, 10 catches in the first 2 games for Buffalo. But is this a successful formula for the Bills, Mike?
Yes, here we go, the Super Bowl. Here we go, right here. You can hear it first. Now, I think, first of all, I think Allen's developing. He's gotten a little better with each year. And I think, obviously, the Bills saw this in him when they drafted him and felt like he was the right guy to be in Buffalo. And I think they just liked his natural strength and his leadership ability. And you get a high-class receiver like Stephon Diggs. Boy, you look at how the Vikings are struggling. I know it's only 2 games. And like you talk about, he's open. That's making John Brown more dangerous, making Cole Beasley more dangerous. They've also got some other receivers that they drafted that they feel highly about. And I just think he's gotten better each year. And I think there's a little chip on his shoulder, but he can't throw the long ball accurately. Ask the Dolphins about that. I think they might not agree with that and stuff. But I'm not trying to go. I'm not making my Super Bowl plans yet because obviously there's tape on the Bills now, and they got a tough schedule coming up. The Rams are coming up. They have to go to Las Vegas. I think there's a trip to Tennessee coming up as well. So there's plenty of tough games left. But good start, and Allen, who I always thought had the potential to be good. The Bills were smart. They took their time with him, and I think now that he's taken that next step, and especially having a receiver like Diggs that just makes all the difference in the world.
Right. Go ahead, Ian.
Josh Allen, he might be the Bills' best running back. Is that a big problem right now? Devin Singletary, only 86 yards in the first 2 games. Allen looks like he's not their leading rusher, but he's pretty close.
Yeah, that is a concern because don't need him to get hurt. I mean, Matt Barkley's a fine backup, but you want him out there. But you want Allen out there. You only want him to run in certain situations. And yeah, they need to get Singletary going a little bit. And Zach Moss hasn't quite he showed flashes here and stuff. But I think they're very young backs. Singletary's just a second year back, and Moss is a rookie from Utah. And obviously Moss, didn't have any preseason games to get ready and OTAs and stuff, so he's still learning. But yeah, the Bills will need to get that running game going a little bit better. But so far so good. And what's people forget about Allen, that's now 9 come from behind wins he has in his career after that.
That's impressive.
After that win against Miami,
got to look at that.
They were struggling a little bit. Obviously, they had the power delay. They had the power outage for 20 minutes and couldn't watch the game, and then we had a lightning delay for 32 minutes. They got them a little out of sync, and they fell behind 20-17, and boom, they did what you hope. If you want to be great, okay, we're down. Let's get it done. They scored the next 2 times they had the ball and ended up winning a 3-point game. So against a team that are better than, but nevertheless, it's a win. The Bills had some linebackers out in that game, and they found a way to win because I knew the Dolphins would play much better than they did in Foxborough the week before, and there was some Fitz magic, but thankfully not enough.
For sure. Ian Castleberry playing with the Wise Guys. NFL Gold Nuggets feature presented by DC Creasman Jewelers. Ian, what are your Week 3 storylines?
Is Justin Herbert, or should he be the starting quarterback for the Los Angeles Chargers? He probably will start again this week in one of the most bizarre injuries of Week 2. Tyrod Taylor had a punctured lung before the game, and it turns out that lung was punctured by the team doctor in giving Taylor a shot, a pain-killing shot to the ribs, and apparently, went in the wrong spot, went a little too deep. Oops. But Herbert played really well, 22 of 33, 311 yards, a touchdown, and an interception, and almost upset the Kansas City Chiefs. Anthony Lynn, isn't going to commit. I think he's that old school football coach. Player doesn't lose his job to injury, especially when the team doctor punctures his lung. But Justin Herbert might be, how is he going to play in Week 2? Is he already the quarterback of the future for the Los Angeles Chargers?
Ian, can we back up on that real quick? First off, did the team waive the doctor? Because that's...
that guy should. Seriously, I've been looking on LinkedIn to see if turn up at all. But
was he on WebMD?
How much of a future can a team doctor have? Certainly, you can't have much confidence in him coming near you with a needle after what he did to Tyrod Taylor.
Did you want to add to that, Michael?
Yeah, well, just Herbert was, I thought, really good, except for that one interception he threw, I think, late in the third quarter that turned the game around. If he, because they were getting ready to score, and I think take a 2 and have a 2-score lead on the Chiefs, and the Chiefs would have been dead. But give the Chiefs credit for making a play, and then they had that great 10-minute drive, but had to settle for a field goal. But boy, the Chiefs were. I know they've made comebacks before in the Super Bowl and playoff games, but they were very, very fortunate to win that game and stuff. That was a little tougher for the Chiefs than I thought would be. And so, but give Herbert. He looked, for a guy that found out 5 minutes before the game, oh, by the way, you're starting. I thought he looked pretty good.
He looked very good. Of course, now they've got a book on him. We'll wait and see. The Panthers are playing the Chargers this Sunday. We'll see what they can do to if they can slow down Justin Herbert. But yeah, what a great performance from a guy that, as Mike just alluded to, found out minutes before the game that he was going to be the guy. And I'm sure that probably shook up the Chiefs' defense, too. Like, well, wait a minute. We didn't even prepare for this guy. But they got through it, and they got the win. Ian Castleberry, continue, sir, with your Week 3 storylines.
You mentioned the Eagles. You thought they're the 0-2 team that can turn it around, but how is Carson Wentz going to play booed in Philadelphia with no fans? That's pretty impressive right there.
Anybody can do it. They can do it.
Just press the button. Just press the boo button.
Philly can make it happen. Carson Wentz has not played well in the first 2 weeks. The Eagles don't have that security blanket anymore with Nick Foles being traded to the Bears. Is Carson Wentz going to turn this around? He needs to have a good game in a game they should win against the Cincinnati Bengals. But they have some tough games coming up after that. The Eagles, I think, are kind of stuck with Carson Wentz. I don't think they're ready to go to Jalen Hurts just yet.
Wow. When do you think, guys, Michael, start with you, when do you think that might happen? I mean, a couple of games, 3 games, next game?
Well, they really haven't looked good. They really have not looked good the first 2 weeks. That was a bad loss to the Redskins. And then, the Rams, they fell behind, made a little run, but of course they have a lot of money invested in Carson Wentz, so it might be a while. Of course, this is such a crazy year.
Yeah.
But if they're out of contention, which they shouldn't be in the NFC least.
I agree. That's why I still give them life.
They could win it at 8-8. Booed without fans. Only in Philadelphia.
I know,
only in
man.
Philadelphia can that happen.
The people. Ian, continue. Sorry about that. And what?
No. Monday night's game. I mean, we had a blockbuster here. Kansas City Chiefs at Baltimore Ravens. Patrick Mahomes versus Lamar Jackson. As Mike pointed out, the Chiefs were probably lucky to sneak out of their game against the Chargers in Week 2 with a win. Meanwhile, Baltimore looks like they're just coming along. Lamar Jackson, reigning MVP, playing just as well. May have found a gem in the draft in J.K. Dobbins, who's rejuvenated that running game. This could be one of the best Monday night games in a long time.
Man, how does Baltimore end up with a player like J.K. Dobbins? Was he late first round or second? I think he was a second-round pick, correct?
Second rounder.
Yeah, because he was one of the top running backs. Boy, and Mike, that's another thing about the Ravens, right? I mean, their front office, even Ozzie Newsome left, it's just like they barely skipped a beat.
That's why they're a great organization. You think about, did they take chances or smart chances? I mean, wasn't Joe Flacco their quarterback just 2 years ago and everything, taking them to the playoffs and stuff? And they've made and where's Joe Flacco at now? I mean, they've made the changes at the right time. It's a really great organization. Really stunned that how they lost in the first round in the playoffs last year to the Titans. How they of course, it just shows what a crapshoot the playoffs are and stuff. But yeah, they model organization that do a great job in a great city, and I think they're definitely the Super Bowl favorites this year. Indeed,
I'll tell you right now. As much as I really like Kansas City, I'm taking Baltimore in that one. As where NFL picks will be coming up today at 5:30. Ian Castleberry with the Wise Guys, and we're running through his Week 3 storylines. Anything else, Ian?
No, those are the three that really stand out to me.
Gotcha.
Other than the 0-2 teams that we talked about early on. I mean, what are the Jets? How are they going to do? The Lions? I mean, they're both almost certainly to go 0-3. I don't know about Adam Gase, but the Lions, they have a bye week coming up, I believe, in 2 weeks. And if the Lions haven't won a game by then, I think that's an awfully convenient time to make a coaching change with Matt Patricia.
Ooh, all right. We'll wait and see. Could be the first one of this young season coming up, Michael.
Bring Jim Caldwell back, Ian.
If only. Amos Alonzo Caldwell, who knew?
Yeah. You know what? I say bring back, who was the guy? Who was Wayne Fonts? Bring back Wayne Fonts. Come on. That guy's probably sitting by his phone. What a job he did for in the 90s with that.
He won a playoff game. He won beat Dallas soundly, the team that would win the next two Super Bowls, beat them in the Silverdome.
You're a Lions coach, you won a playoff game. That is worthy of a parade, ticker tape parade through downtown Detroit these days. Come on, man. Get with it, Lions. Hey, before we let you go, though, Ian, Thursday Night Football, interesting matchup, the Dolphins at the Jags. Who do you like in this one?
The mustache versus the beard, right?
Yeah, man.
Against Ryan Fitzpatrick. I like the Jaguars in this one. They're at home against the Dolphins defense, that just gave up 415 yards passing to Josh Allen. I think Minshew, coming off a game where he threw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. I think the Jaguars, Gardner Minshew, is going to have a big game against this Dolphins defense. I like them tonight.
All right, there you have it. That's why we ask him the tough questions. That's Ian Castleberry with the Wise Guys. Ian, always appreciate it, my friend. Enjoy the rest of the week.
Okay, enjoy the rest of your week, guys. Thanks so much.
Always. Thank you, Ian, very much. Ian Castleberry with the Wise Guys, NFL Gold Nuggets feature for this Thursday. Of course, presented by David Creasman and DC Creasman Jewelers.